Good afternoon and welcome to the Iowa City Public Library. My name is Kara Logston. I'm the Adult Services Coordinator here at the library, and it's very exciting to have another Weber Days program today. Before we get started, I wanted to let you know there are Weber Days schedules over on the counter. There are also bus tickets, and so if you're interested in going on the bus tour, the tickets are here. They're at 3 different times a week from Saturday. Before we get started, I want to especially thank the Iowa City Noon Lions Club for giving the permission to allow Irving Weber's books to be added to the Iowa Heritage Digital Collections. I just think this is a really remarkable resource for our community, and just making it available this way is absolutely wonderful. And about half of Irving Weber's articles now are available on the Iowa Heritage Digital Collections, and we'll get into that more. But especially want to thank the Lions Club and the Press Citizen, too. Irving Weber wrote for the Press Citizen, and it's just really a remarkable local history resource for our community. Now on to our program. We have 2 people today from University Libraries who will be talking about the Iowa Heritage Digital Collection. Mark Anderson is the Digital Initiatives Librarian, and Nancy Kraft is the Preservation Librarian at University Libraries. So thank you very much, and I'll turn it over to you.
Thank you. We'll keep this a little informal. If you have questions or don't understand, we try very hard not to burst into library-ese, but if either one of us do, please stop us and ask for clarification. I just wanted to let you know that I knew Mr. Weber as a frequent visitor of the State Historical Society, and my impression of him was that he was a researcher and a storyteller. And so I'm very pleased that our project is included in Irving Weber Days, because I think it's a good fit. And I'm also hoping that having his items on our Iowa Heritage Digital Collections will inspire others to do research and create stories. So I'm going to take a sort of a quick overview of what the project is all about, and then Mark is going to come and show you some ins and outs of making the most out of the tools that are available for using Irving Weber's site. This is our home page, and you can see that we have highlighted Irving Weber's Iowa City. And we're going to come back to the trivia question towards the end and see if anyone knows the answer to this one. The buttons here, the About is if you're wanting to know about some standards for digitizing. If you go to the About page, you'll find some side buttons that can lead you into that and some other background information. It's really an online catalog or repository for Iowa culture and history that brings together all kinds of things digitally. Kind of think of it as a big online catalog. And we're just beginning to explore what all we can do with the software that we have to use with this. And my dream is to someday have these records pulled in with the book online so we could have everything together. And these are some of the collections that are up here that are up now, and we have several in the queue. And this is to give you a little idea of the kinds of things that are in this collection. We have images from the Manna Heritage Museum and Flunk Day posters from Cole College. We have maps and railroad depot images from the collections of the University of Iowa. We have the Czech Museum had some letters written in Czech by a Czech soldier during the Civil War. And one of their reasons that they participated was they couldn't find anyone who could read this Czech script. So they hope by putting this online, because it's accessible worldwide, that they would find someone to translate it so that they could then put the translation side by side with the letters. And the last word I heard is they finally did find someone. They are being translated. So I'm really looking forward to being able to show both images. The Carnegie Public Libraries, the Library Science School students here are contributing images, and they're going to eventually put other information up about Carnegie libraries in Iowa. And Iowa Public TV is adding video. We've got 2 up. We're experimenting. Iowa State University has put up selected images from their Barnes collection, their photographs of Barnes, and Mason City Public Library is contributing images from around their area. The newest at the university is the Iowa Women's Archives Mujeres Latinas collection, and they have a collection of photographs. Here's a telegram, congratulatory telegram, and you can see that they have oral history that you can listen to, and I believe you can read the transcript, and then they've got the image and other information about the person that gave the oral history. And we also have sheet music. And one of the advantages of having this collection, and as a preservation librarian, one of the reasons I'm so excited about this project is that finally we can allow fragile items to be viewed by anyone without risk of damage to the original. And then if a researcher needs access to the original, we can get that for them. But this really saves on the wear and tear. And you can also browse by popular topic. We have railroad stations. We've got over, I believe, 2,000 railroad depots now. I think it's a little interesting. I don't know if you could pick up that this one right here, it's a depot, but I can't see a building on it. So sometimes it's just a crossing in the countryside. And this is just an image. What you can do, and what we did to pull up that by topic, is not only can you do sort of a Google-like approach where you just type in a stream of words, but when you find something you really like, these items, see right here where it says railroad stations, or here's Cedar Rapids and Iowa City Railway, which may be of interest to researchers. If you want to see more like that, all you need to do is to click on that, and if there are others, then those will come up. And that's what I did for this screen, because I was curious as to how many Krandic items we have in the system, and they showed up 15. I think the 2 that you can't see, yeah, those, I strongly suspect that those are from the Irving Weber collection. You can also click to find out what your newspaper has in. There's several volunteers working on a World War II clippings project, and they're putting close to 800,000 items on microfilm, and we've selected a few to put into, to digitize and add to this project. So you can either search. I chose to do that. I wanted to look up newspaper, and since I wanted to just, if you want to look in just one collection, you have a choice here that says you can ask to show the terms that have been used. And I could see that Press Citizen has some items in there, so then I clicked on that to see what would be available. And there are 10 items right now from the Press Citizen. And they're all on the World War II project. And I just pulled up one for fun. This is somebody from the prisoner of war camp in Iowa who got bored, and he designed a bread slicer. And you can read all about that. And then this is, did I go backwards? The dogs and friendship train, prisoners of war, ship's name for Iowa locations, sports, displaced persons, and I believe there's one other topic that wouldn't show. But here's some samples of what you can find from the clippings project. And they're from all over Iowa, so you can get quite a good sense of World War II at the home front by browsing through this collection. And then some of you might be interested in, well, I've with a local historical society or library, and boy, I would really like to belong to this, but I don't want to lose our identity. And I just wanted to show you what Grinnell Public Library did. This is their home page. And see, they went, and this is the collection that they put in. He was an early aviator. And on their home page, and if you click here, then that gets you right into that collection through their home page. You can also come at it. They also have a special page for library archives. And you can see they've also put, kind of off the screen here, a way for people to go directly to the broader collection. Or you can choose just to search the collection that they're working on. And these are some of the items that they've put in. And they've done this in Grinnell Public Library using their own local equipment. And we went and provided some training, some hands-on, and then we're available for email and phone consultation. But it's I think, really great because you can create your own local specific, but you can also be part of the broader collection. And the broader collection can unify things now, such as land ownership atlases, into one resource place that you can search and have a more complete collection by using this Iowa Heritage Digital Collections. And here, Drake Heritage Collections really got carried away. Mark and I were commenting the other day, it's obvious they have a full-time person to devote to this one project, and we're very jealous. But if you have a local person that can concentrate on, they can develop stories as they've done here. And some of the ones also have oral histories that you can listen to. And they've also done some very specific search strategies behind the scenes specific to their collection. That's much more than we could do at the state level. We couldn't begin to do all this customizing that's specific and answers unique strategies and concerns for researchers at the local level. We couldn't begin to address those needs, but we can provide all the tools for that, and then this is of value to the local and to the researcher that's coming from a broader perspective. Okay, here's the trivia question, and we're going to start rotating these through and asking, we haven't figured out how often we're going to post these, but which of the following was not a requirement for officer candidates in the Women's Army Auxiliary Corps? Must be between 21 and 49 years old, must have husband's permission if married, must be a U.S. citizen, have a high school diploma, pass an IQ test, not be more than 15 pounds overweight. So, which one do you think was not a requirement? This is audience participation. That's right. Now, if you were on the screen, every one of those would have popped up and said no. But if you get correct, then you get, not only an exclamation point, but then you can click on OK and go to the information that was used to create that trivia question. So we'll be having all collections, including the Irving Weber collection, creating trivia questions that we can post. A fun way to learn a little bit about history. So, my part's over, and you're probably waiting for this one on the Irving Weber project that was just up 2-3 days ago. So I'll turn this over to Mark.
Thanks, Nancy. Thank you all for being here today. Like Kara said, my name is Mark Anderson, and I am a Digital Initiatives Librarian with the Digital Library Services Department at the University of Iowa Libraries. Among working on many other digitization projects for the library, this department assists Nancy Kraft and her staff with the management of the Iowa Heritage Digital Collections. And with the remaining time this noon, I would like to talk to you about a new and very exciting addition to the Iowa Heritage Digital Collections. From the time I started working at the University of Iowa, many people approached me talking about how great it would be to have the 8-volume set, Irving Weber's Iowa City, available in a digital format. And I was very excited when my boss, Paul Soderdahl, who is now the Director for Library and Information Technology at the University of Iowa Libraries, approached me and put the bug in my ear and even gave me his collection of volumes, which was missing the 3rd volume. And in a side note, I had to track down a 3rd volume to disbind as a part of our digitization process. I wanted to find one at a used bookstore, and I went online actually looking for a used book seller that I could order the volume off the web, and it ended up the only place that had it was the Haunted Bookstore just over here on East Washington. So I walked up and purchased the 3rd volume, which I understand among the volumes is one of the more rare volumes for whatever reason. But then we got to work. In February, Nancy and I approached the Lions Club at their weekly meeting to present a proposal in which the University of Iowa Libraries would do just that, digitize the 8-volume set. And Susie and Dale Brown and Chris Meisel and in fact, all the Lions were very receptive and thrilled to have the volumes, which are still under their copyright, digitized and added to the Iowa Heritage Digital Collections. And today I'm happy to announce that this has happened. And I'm going to talk about 2 reasons why it's important to have these stories digitized. And I'll finish by presenting the collection with a live demonstration of its functionality. The first advantage to having Irving Weber's stories digitized is, of course, for accessibility. Weber wanted his stories about Iowa City to be known by others, which is, of course, why they appeared in the Iowa City Press Citizen to begin with, and later were, some of which, just over half, were published and sold as the 8 volumes. It's the next logical step to take in the 21st century to digitize them and make them available on the internet, not only because that's how many people look for and discover information, but because the stories can reach a far wider audience than when contained in a physical medium. When digitized, for example, students who want to use Irving Weber's stories for history projects and papers in school can search through Iowa Heritage to look for the information they need without limiting the number of students that can access the stories at any one time. I never had the pleasure unlike Nancy of knowing Mr. Weber, since I've only been a resident of Iowa City for 4 years, but this is something that he would have found to be terribly important, I have no doubt. The second advantage to having the stories in a digital format is because of the flexibility digital information provides, as it allows people to combine that information in different ways with other information. Take for instance, Google Maps. Many of you may have used this feature of Google to find where you were going, or to find a satellite photo of a particular location. But you can use Google's own code for your own data on a map, on their map. Don Dunbar, a student of Library and Information Science at the University of Iowa, who's graduating and just had time to lead this actual scanning of the volumes, created this example. This now is the Irving Weber Collection homepage, but I do want to show you an example of the Google map that he created. The area shown here is downtown Iowa City, and if you click on a red location marker on the map, up pops a picture from the Weber stories, showing you a picture of what was in that location long ago, and a link takes you to the actual article from the Weber stories that picture is contained in. Close Hall, the old biology building. And in fact, there's even a second tab from the pop-up that shows you what building is in that location now, that being the biology complex built in the 60s and 70s. Of course, this is an older picture too, because now there's that walkway going across Dubuque Street. So really, this is a really neat kind of flexibility of using digital information. I'll show you a few more examples here that I like, and then you can select a few yourself. Over here by the river is Old Iowa Field, now the English and Philosophy building, which stands at the edge of what used to be Old Iowa Field. And in fact, we'll go visit the page that's found on and zoom in. And the English and Philosophy building now is what would have been in this baseball diamond, and the University main library here in the football field. So it's really an interesting way of comparing the past with the present. Down here, a little farther south, is the Rate Glove Factory, shown burning right now at what is now 800 South Clinton, or the Hawkeye lumber lot. In fact, there's another point I'd like to put on here, over somewhere in here. I was going through a few of the stories, and Irving Weber was talking about the highest point in Iowa City. He gave the street address, and I wasn't sure where that was. So I went to Google Maps and found that it was just off of Melrose Avenue in University Heights. So there's another data point that we could plot on our Google map. The next thing I want to show is a kind of a combination of the two advantages, flexibility and accessibility, of having information digitized, which allows you to push information to people in new ways. And I had this open, so I'll just get back to Wikipedia. Wikipedia is an internet encyclopedia that allows anybody, anytime, to edit entries on any topic. This distributed freedom leads some to believe that Wikipedia is a less reliable source of information. But while some people have the ability to add less reliable information, experts can edit that with truly reliable information and links to other reliable information. So when I saw the Iowa City article on Wikipedia, I scrolled down and past the demographics, and in fact, a large portion of which is dedicated to the Easter tornado. But in this section, local color, I saw the first bullet was a short two sentences about Irving Weber. So I left the biographical statement alone, but I added a direction and a link to the to the Irving Weber digital collection online, so that when people do visit the Iowa City article on Wikipedia, they can quickly get to the Irving Weber collection. In fact, one could even edit the Irving Weber page, which does not exist yet, but they've put in a placeholder for the Irving Weber page, and that would certainly be a great addition to Wikipedia, I think. I do want to demonstrate the collection now, and the scanning of the books was completed less than a month ago. It took about 2 months to disbind all 8 volumes, to scan the some 2,200 pages that make up those 8 volumes. The images were added to our digital library software called Content DM. You can access the Irving Weber and all Iowa Heritage collections by going to iowaheritage.org and clicking on Collections. Listed among the many collections is the Irving Weber collection. You can just click on his portrait to begin browsing. So you can see all 8 volumes here. This is the browse screen of the Irving Weber collection. Clicking on a volume opens up the Content DM viewer. Looking on the left side of the screen, you can see that the sections and chapters are organized according to the way they were in the original volumes. Clicking on a chapter or series explodes that series into the individual pages, and you can just click on a page to see the image of that page. We've configured the system to show you the entire page initially, which may be difficult to read the text. So all you need to do is click on the image and the text gets progressively bigger. Okay, too far. Again, on the left, you can navigate to the next page in that series. Again, zooming in if need be, and navigate to the previous page in that series. You can also move to a different series to view the pages in that series. The Back to Results button or the Browse button will take you back to, again, all 8 volumes. And I think it's probable that these volumes will be used to find specific facts about Iowa City rather than being read cover to cover, although it is hard to stop once you've started browsing, I'll have to admit. Because we use software, optical character recognition, to recognize the text of the scanned page images, you can search the full text of all the volumes at once. The easiest way to search is to type a keyword into the search box located on the upper right of the browse page. There are 2 search boxes. The lower search box will search all Iowa Heritage materials at once. The upper search box will search all of the Weber volumes or whatever collection you happen to be in of the Iowa Heritage digital collections at the time. For a more advanced search, you can search from the advanced search screen, which will allow you to search by a specific field. Will allow you to search phrases and limit words. And you can see here that when you're in the Weber collection and you choose to do an advanced search, only the Irving Weber collection is checked. You can check more boxes if you want to search other collections. But like I said, the easiest way to search is through these simple search boxes in the upper right. When I was a graduate student, I lived in an apartment on Ellis Avenue, just up the hill from Hansher Auditorium in Manville Heights. And I always wondered about the origin of the name Ellis Avenue until I searched the newly completed Irving Weber's Iowa City. I typed in Ellis Avenue into the search box and got 6 hits for the phrase Ellis Avenue. Clicking on the first hit takes you to a page where the terms that you searched are highlighted. So you can see Avenue is highlighted wherever it appears on the page, and down on the lower portion of the page, Ellis Avenue, the phrase, is highlighted where it appears in the text. So I just started reading. When Manville laid out Manville Heights, there was a special significance to the names of most of the streets. Hutchinson Avenue was named for Robert Hutchinson, who had owned the land where the subdivision was platted. Ferguson Avenue was named for Professor Ferguson of the College of Law, who had purchased 5.5 acres. Richardson Street was named for Cora Richards, Manville's niece, Magawan for the city engineer at the time. Lusk Avenue was named for Manville's wife's maiden name, and Ellis Avenue reportedly was named for the Reverend Sylvester E. Ellis of the Methodist Church, where Manville attended. And interestingly enough, McLean Street was named for University President George E. McLean, but somewhere along the way, the spelling got off, and so now it's just MC McLean and not MAC McLean. And so I found my answer just as simply as that, and really that's that's the best information that you can find on the web when you know it comes from a reputable source and you can find your information quickly. I do want to say what an honor it has been for me to add these incredibly valuable stories to the corpus of accessible digital information. I found it difficult to quit reading Irving Weber's stories once I started because, although it sounds cliche, he really does make history come alive. I want to thank Kara Logsdon from the Iowa City Public Library for her support of the digitization and inviting Nancy and me to speak at this brown bag talk. I want to thank Lolly Eggers for her help in compiling the biographical information found on the Digital Collections information page, which is up in the upper right, Irving Weber's Iowa City Home, which is where the Google Maps is. I do want to point out that she will be speaking at a later event about her newly written biography, Iowa City's Irving Weber, on Friday, May 26th at 6 p.m. as another Weber event. I certainly want to thank Del Brown and Susie Brown, Chris Meisel, and the rest of the Lions for their support. I've been surprised how quickly this project came together and really have something incredible to show for it. So if there's nothing else, Nancy and I would like to take your questions if you have them. If you want me to run some searches for you, we can do that now. But I'll open up the floor for any questions that you may have.
I could probably do this search myself now that it's all ready to go, but one Irving Weber story that I frequently share is the site in the tree down by the jail.
The scythe in the tree?
Yeah, and supposedly there was World War I or World War II, man who's going off to war, and he just stopped work, put the scythe in the tree grew up around it, and there's still blades sticking out of the tree down there.
Huh.
So we've always tried to find which volume that was in, but it's sure that
Is that right? Do I have the spelling of scythe correctly?
that is correct.
We got one hit.
All right.
We're looking at the fifth volume. The fifth volume from a very long series, apparently, series 41. We'll zoom in here. And yes, the scythe blade in the tree. 18 inches of the blade of an old rusty scythe sticks out of the trunk of a hard maple tree on the 500 block of South Capitol Street. I'll have to walk past there on my way home. Mentions Dutch Lasky, who lives just a block to the west on Madison. Remembers it's there for 45 years. He thinks Homer Stimmel was the owner. Yeah, that's great.
Yes, whenever I drive down that street with anybody, I have to point that out.
And it's still there?
It is still there. Unless the tornado comes. It's at the corner nearest to the University Services Building.
I remember stories about ice harvesting.
Just like here's one with an image. showing ice coupon books. Yeah, and here's talking about or maybe there's a better example on one of these other pages. Yeah, it talks about Englert and his association with the ice harvesting. That's pretty interesting. Lolly, did you have your hand up?
Well, it pains me to think how many hours I could have saved. Yeah, right. I know it's here someplace.
Will we be able to eventually publish yours?
If it's useful to you.
Oh, absolutely.
But that's a good point, because as I know we've mentioned a couple times, what has now been digitized is only slightly over half of Irving Weber's complete output of around 800 stories. There's only about 450 digitized, and there are several indexes at the State Historical Society. So really this could just be the tip of the iceberg as far as getting Irving Weber material online.
They index from the presidency. There's two huge volumes, two volumes of indexing of not just the books, but all the articles that are in them. So this was the Hutchinson, yes, but not in the format of this. Right. Bound, and not physically.
But certainly it would be advantageous to connect those indexes with the digitized information, because so often an index entry can be much more useful for sifting through the information than a keyword search could be.
And I don't know, do you have a clipping file on Irving Weber?
We had all of the articles.
That were in his story, his articles?
Well, you have them, Xerox, and some of the first volume. There were 6 volumes. I have almost a complete series that maybe would be useful for some.
Because,
They're in clipping.
right, and, some end it just could sort through, and the clippings that didn't make it into the notes. That's always a possibility. So,
And I think Lolly was mentioning before we started talking about how there is a part of her index that there's a listing for each article, whether or not it is in the volumes or not. So certainly that's,
mechanism, yeah.
There, is that edition of the map a fairly new one, or is that the map function on the Irving Weber?
yes, it's now, Google Maps has a second version of their map application programming interface, and this is the newest version of that software. Are you talking about the software or the map itself?
The map itself on the page, has it always been there and I just didn't notice it, or?
Oh, no, this is just recently added on the Weber homepage.
That then and now is really nice. In fact, it was the Drake one that took you to the auditor's page.
Yes.
The auditor's location is the one right there. And he has a whole series called Then and Now that.
Oh,
That would be
very
really
cool.
helpful. Yeah, there's the Coldren Opera House, which is now the Savings and Loan on the corner of Clinton and the Ped Mall.
So do you have any idea what kind of traffic you have on the site?
We do. Those stats are a little hard to. We have the stats, but they don't always mean what you think they would mean. For instance, we saw just in the last month the statistics of the number of hits against this server jumped from about 150,000 to 550,000. We're not sure why exactly. I think it has something to do with the fact that Google is more actively crawling our pages now. And every time one of their spider crawlers that they use to compile their index hits against one of our pages, it counts as another hit. So how many of those hits are actually human hits We're not entirely sure.
But the fact it's being crawled means that it's going to be more and more visible. So that's always good. So, yeah, we're starting to track that. We've been really focused on just getting the project up and not worrying so much about traffic, trying to, get the functionality up. And this is one of the first times we've actually had an opportunity to focus on a collection. As I was showing you with Vanell and the one that we're really jealous of, Des Moines. But this is the first time we've really had some time to do that, and as Mark pointed out, we couldn't even done that without Lolly contributing some of the text. It is very time intensive, but at the local level, you have the information and the volunteers and the resources that can help you.
Yeah, it's something that we battle with because, like Nancy said, it is very time intensive to customize a site with all these really neat bells and whistles when there's so much other information out there that's just queued up for digitization that can really be useful in a digital format. And so you have to weigh between spending a lot of time customizing one collection and making it look really nice, or moving on to another collection that needs attention also.
So, yeah, any other researches or questions?
No, I just have a question on how you're soliciting to get more digital collections. Is it groups that you're looking for, historical societies, or can individuals do it?
Maybe I'll let Nancy field that one. You can come up here.
You could stand with the microphone in you.
Yeah. We're not pushing very hard right now to get more people because we're shoehorning this project into our regular jobs. But we put people that approach us into a queue, and then we work with the individual to get them up and going. And then, as I said earlier, we provide telephone and an email consultation. And our ideal way of bringing a group up is to do something like we did today, is to give kind of an overview of the project, and then come back and work more intensively with staff and have them put the maybe 10 to 20 images up. And then we meet again and ask, is this how you really want this to work? How are your researchers going to be searching? So with the railroad collection, after we had 10, 15 items up, we realized a lot of people would do just as I did and try to find out how many things were about a particular railroad, like the Kraft. And so we added that information in and did a lot of changing around. And since it was just a handful of items, it made it really easy. So, and we work with groups to figure out how best to streamline so that you can get things up quickly. So with Irving Weber, it was very intensive, but the metadata so that people could search and bring these up was fairly uniform. And so that, by concentrating on one type of thing in one subject area, even though it still takes a long time, you get a lot of benefit immediately. And so that was with the railroad collection. They put 2,000 items up in a year. Yeah, the circulation staff at the University of Iowa wanted something to do during down times when it's a little slower behind the desk, and wanted something a little different and a little challenging. So they approached us to see if they could do a digital project after hearing one of these sessions. And we worked with Special Collections, and we set them up and established the project, and a year later they had all the Iowa items up for that particular collection. Well, they're almost done. They just gave us a heads up about a month ago and said, oh, we're almost done, we need a new collection.
So what kind of equipment did you have to put at the checkout desk?
They had their regular desktop, and I think they had a scanner, and that's all they needed. Did we upgrade, or were we doing? Yeah, we upgraded the scanner. The other thing is, because they were using special collections, we did do some training on special handling, and we did find a place where the items, when they weren't being scanned, were locked away in security. So the server side, which is what's at the University of Iowa, that's really the expense plus the time to put things in. So the software that just comes with the package, and so to add another group in isn't an additional money out expense. It's the time, and so, like I said, we're not beating the bushes to bring new groups in, but as groups approach us, we put them in a queue and we bring them up, and we're very happy to bring them up.
Do they have to do it through you? Can't they do it on their own?
If you want to do it on your own, there's a lot more, and you want to be part of the Iowa Heritage Digital Collection, there's a lot more expense involved. And we can talk to you about that, and then you can make a decision. I'm thinking that the initial cost of software, I think, is $8,000 to $10,000. And then you have an ongoing maintenance fee, and then there's a annual, I think it's $750 a year to tie in to the IHDC servers. So yeah, you can do it on your own, or you can come in. There's 4 servers around the state right now. So, and that's so no one institution in Iowa has to maintain and keep getting bigger and bigger and bigger servers. So yeah, we'll sit down and talk to individuals, to the staff, so they can make decisions as to which route they want to go. And we're happy to provide training either way. I think UNI is the last one that came up on that. So, are you going to do one more search, Mark, to show cross collections?
Yeah.
And if you have any other questions? So Mark is going to do one search that does across the collections, and there's time if you think of other questions that you can ask.
And I think Nancy actually already showed this in her PowerPoint, which was searching across all Iowa Heritage collections for, say, the Krandic Railroad would turn up. Photographs from the Railroad Depot Photographs collection, as well as many pages. These are, in fact, pages in the Irving Weber collection.
One thing I thought we would find more of was the Kinnick for Kinnick Stadium, and I didn't get very many hits. I was surprised, because I thought we would pull them up with the World War II clippings. Maybe I didn't spell it right.
Well, there are a couple newspaper clippings from the World War II clippings
Yeah.
collection, which maybe there's a new sports during World War II collection,
Probably.
sub-collection that we've started.
Yeah, that's right. I just thought there would be
Could be a
lot
part
more
of
than
that.
it was. So,
Well, thank you for having us come speak to you today. We're very excited to be a part of the Weber Days celebration, and we're looking forward to seeing the digital collection used.